The newsday continues here in One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. President Bongbong Marcos stressed that he is as concerned as one can possibly be over China's continued aggression in the West Philippine Sea. With this, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris assured President Marcos that the United States remains committed to defend the Philippines. Julie Baiza reports to us live from Washington for the full story. Julie, what do you have for us?
Diego, President Bongbong Marcos meets with U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff at the U.S. Naval Observatory here in Washington, D.C. this morning. But before his meeting, Marcos has something to say about China.
How concerned are you with the continued competition from China?
As concerned as you could possibly be. To strengthen,
Marcos admits that he is concerned about the continued provocation of China in the South China Sea. This follows the near collision between Chinese and Philippine vessels in waters of Ayungin Shoal. The president also said that this is one of the issues that he has to face back home. He also believed that cooperation between the U.S. and the Philippines has to be continued. During their meeting, Harris reiterated the U.S. position on disputes in the South China Sea. Harris also stressed that under the Marcos leadership, United States and Philippines relationship has become stronger.
And on the issue of security, of course, the work that our countries are doing together as it relates to the South China Sea, as it relates to what we must do in terms of continuing to work together through our Coast Guard.
Diego, Marcos and Harris also vowed to build mutually beneficial partnership between Manila and Washington on a wide range of areas such as digital inclusion and clean energy economy. Tomorrow, Marcos is scheduled to head to the Pentagon where he is expected to meet U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Diego?
Thanks for that report. Julie Baiza reporting live from Washington. U.S. firms are planning to hire some 75,000 seafarers in the next 3 to 4 years. Carnival Corporation CEO John Padgett made this revelation during President Bongbong Marcos' meeting in Washington. Padgett, who also represents other maritime firms, praised Filipino workers for their hospitality and competitiveness in the global workforce. Meanwhile, the United States-Philippine Society also vowed for greater partnership to boost the Philippine economy. With this, the president hopes that Filipinos in Washington could come home to a better Philippines. This as he expects the country to have improved by the time overseas Filipinos decide to retire.
sooner or later, we will be able to welcome you back home to the Philippines, especially those who have reacquired their Filipino citizenship. It's my hope that some of you will come home for good and retire in a much better Philippines. A Philippines with better airports, Philippines with better roads, better airports, better internet, better governance. Yun ang aking pinapangarap.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Prices of sugar remain high despite higher volume of supply. Sugar Regulatory Administration Acting Chief Pablo Ascona said one brand is being sold at up to 136 pesos per kilo at a supermarket. In wet markets, Ascona said sugar prices range from 86 to 110 pesos per kilo, above their target suggested retail price of 85 to 90 pesos.
So yung profit margin lang po ng wholesaler, retailer, or trader po, yung tumataas. Yung sa farmer naman po, bumaba based on the amount of supply that we have. Medyo sobra talaga po yung price sa retail price. Pag yung sapat po na retail price based on the situation sa ngayon po, yung sinasabi nating 85 pesos to 90 pesos retail price ng refined, yun talaga po yung fair price.
Meanwhile, Philippine Egg Board Chairman Gregorio San Diego said prices of the commodity have dropped due to low demand. From 7 pesos last month, medium eggs are now being sold at around 6 pesos per piece in wet markets and supermarkets.
Wala ka namang choice kasi may repair sa produkto namin. Hindi mo na pwedeng ikutin yan. Mabubulok ka, lalang malaki maluluto sa iyo.
The El Nino phenomenon is now 80% more likely to hit the Philippines by next month at the earliest or by August. Pag-asa initially projected that the El Nino will develop by the third quarter. But now the State Weather Bureau's projections show that the El Nino phenomenon will likely happen sooner than later, possibly as early as June. And this dry spell is expected to persist until the first quarter of next year. As early as now, the Interior Department is implementing measures to cushion the possible impact of El Nino. Under a memorandum circular, the ILG Chief Benhur Abalos directed local governments to pass their own ordinances to conserve water resources and to allow their concessionaires to conduct emergency leak repairs.
Yung template ay yung nakaraan na rin, no? Pinapa-compile lang natin ito. Of course, there's this task force before that headed by NEDA. Tayo tumutulong dito, no? Ito tayo pinulong ng ating mahal na presidente.
Meanwhile, because of the extreme heat, public schools in Muntinlupa have shifted back to blended learning to avoid heat-related illnesses among students like heat stroke. This makes Muntinlupa the first local government in Metro Manila to adjust the conduct of classes due to high heat. The measure combines face-to-face and asynchronous modalities for teaching, and it covers students from kindergarten to senior high school. Blended learning will be in place in Muntinlupa for a month or until June 2.
May experience ang ating mga kababayan ngayon ng extreme temperature, no? High temperature sa ating climate. And hindi naman kasi lahat ng public schools natin ay equipped with air conditioning units. So it makes it uncomfortable for students.
The Office of the Ombudsman has meanwhile ordered the preventive suspension of Manila International Airport Authority General Manager Cesar Chong. The preventive suspension, which he received Tuesday and dated April 28, was made because he reassigned some 285 of the airport's employees. But according to Chong, he made the move to improve airport operations. Chong explains that the order was, quote, based on an anonymous complaint alleging grave abuse of authority. Chong is confident that he will soon be cleared from these accusations. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us again at 9:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.